Welcome to episode 2 of Francess and Friends. We do this show every single Friday afternoon. I bring on some of the odd shopper guys and I poke and prod and try to extract some of their best bets from them to distribute to you fine folks. You know, I was actually unaware that Francess and Friends is an actual TV show. Like, I just saw somebody from Odd Shopper when they were trying to come up with a name. I just thought they slapped a chalky generic name on it, like, you know, when you register for fantasy football leagues and it automatically defaults you to Andy's fantasy team. And I thought somebody just named it Francess and Friends, but I looked it up. Francess and Friends is an actual talk show. Yeah, that's right. You can look it up. I'm not making this up. I didn't know either. I looked it up. According to Google, it is a show covering current events from a biblical perspective. And you know, I got a message for old Francess and some of their friends over there, and allow me to put this in biblical terms for you. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's bets. Thou shalt place them. You leave that to us over here on Stochastic and on Odd Shopper, which you people should absolutely be subscribed to. If you're not, who are you? That guy who would rather manually search it and then click the video and then disappear at the end? Do me a favor, as I like to call it, the Jack Klompus from Seinfeld personal favor. Take the pen, subscribe to the Odd Shopper channel, like this video, comment, and all that stuff, because you know the deal. I got 4 weeks to make it work, and, you know, that hourglass is ticking. And as my uncle says on his, you know, time to get married, there's a lot of sand on the bottom of that thing. So definitely like, subscribe, all that great stuff. Last week, we brought on Ben and Eitan, who came on here, and they brought a few winners with them. It was like, you know, when a girl tells you she's coming, like she's bringing friends to the party, and you always just assume they're going to be disgusting, but their bets were actually good. They brought cute friends to the party, a couple of winners. Now this week, we got Lindy and Luffy, and tell me that doesn't sound like, you know, an 80s duo who performs like semi-pop dance music, or like some duo on Shark Tank pitching a gambling idea. Hi, I'm Luffy, and I'm Lindy, and we're the Odd Shopper Premium guys. If I was a shark and I heard somebody have one of those corny introduction, I'd honestly just be like, no, I'm out. I can't do business with somebody who practiced that intro in the mirror and then decided, yeah, I think I'm going to follow through with that. That's a good idea. I'd be way out. And I'm sorry to go off on a Shark Tank rant, but I got a random pet peeve with Shark Tank. Looks like they won't be promoting anytime soon. But I hate when that lady Lori tries to ask you for like more of your company, and then in exchange, she tells you she's going to put your product on QVC. What the hell is that going to do for my product in 2023? I haven't seen QVC on a television since 1997, when my great-grandmother ordered like a pitcher for tea. That's the last time I've seen that thing. And that's still on TVs? Where can I find this? Let me guess. After Francess and Friends. Anyway, speaking of Odd Shopper Premium, Ben came in last week. Loved that Nick Chubb over on rushing yards. That was good. Eitan came on here with that Packers money line, screaming about it, and a whole bunch of other things. They were both great picks. But I do know I'm not one of those people who just turns my back on the bad ones. All three of us, we agreed on Pittsburgh, and that was without us even talking about it. I'm an accountability guy. You think I don't stare down the pipe and look at the bad bets? I mean, Mike, you were here last week. You saw we all liked the Steelers. And as far as that game went, even some of those other potential rats that I was telling you about. Look, week 1, many times it's Vegas trying to reel in every 21-year-old for the rest of it's like the classic pool shark hustle. You've seen that episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah, where Carlton's dad comes in, loses game 1, and then hustles them. That's what they did. They're giving you 10 to take 50. And if you're a week 1 winner, congratulations. You're a genius. You thought of it all. You parlayed the Niners, Eagles, and Jaguars, and now you're walking around Wilmington, Delaware, like Tony Soprano. You finally moved all those items from your save for later in your Amazon cart, which has been sitting there since 2018. They're finally in your cart, but you still didn't check out. You didn't check out because you know what's around that corner. It could be a whole tsunami of rats, like coming out of the sewers of NYC when you throw like a dynamite down there or something. I'm thinking of Bear Grylls when he threw a flare into a cave and a whole bunch of bats came out. He called it bat swatting, and he just swatted them, hoping to catch one and have some dinner. How's that for you? Well, I got news for you. You give a man a fish, and this is another Francis and Friends quote. You feed him for a day. You give a 21-year-old a favorite, you hook him for life. That's what happened out there. But if you won, more power to you. That's a great way to start the year. Enjoy the fruits of your sniff. But if you had a bad week, you took the Vikings in your survivor pool, you drafted J.K. Dobbins in fantasy, do not fret. There's still plenty of time to get things right. Don't be that guy who quits on his opponent after going down 1-0 in FIFA. Don't be this new school Gen Z bettor who is tagging every single sportsbook on Monday night, crying, just endlessly crying to have their Aaron Rodgers bets refunded. You had a rough week one. Okay, it's not the end of the world. You're not the only one. Did you see Joe Burrow out there? And I'm not even talking about the loss. I'm talking about that Larry Moe and Curly Three Stooges haircut he was donning. But guess what? It's not over for him. He cut the hair after the game, and it's not over for you either. There's still plenty of time this season to turn things around, take advantage of that Caesars Sportsbook promotion. I like to call it the deli slice promotion, where you put in 50, and they give you 50, 50, 50, 50. 50 for 5 straight weeks. For those of you who, as Arnold Schwarzenegger said in Kindergarten Cop, you lack discipline. If you lack discipline, I lack discipline. They help you out by giving you 50 every single week. It's a great promotion. You got to be a new user. Definitely take advantage of that while you can. Now, going back to that Jets game, I was there. You ever been to a Jets game, Mike? Oh my God, you're going to the Eagles. That's the 2 biggest Carney fan bases, which with a little side of Raiders in there. That's the kind of game I wouldn't wear a jersey to. I would just kind of be like an innocent bystander. What a group of fan bases. That really, wow. What week is that?
I think
approximately
it's the middle of October. I want to say week 8, maybe. I don't even know.
I'm definitely turning on social media and going to like the places tag, and I'm checking all videos on the stadium because I imagine there's going to be some entertaining ones. And I was at that game. I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy. I was there. I wanted to see him for the first time. I don't go to games often. And let me tell you something. In that stadium, the range of emotions I witnessed, it was something else. Like I watched when Rodgers came out with that flag, I felt Super Bowl level excitement and anticipation. And immediately, as quick as that Achilles snapped, it turned into the deepest of depression. The loudest building just went dead quiet. And then by the end of it, on that punt return touchdown in overtime, it was just a shift back to mayhem, euphoria. Everybody was going wild. And basically, every single Jets fan in that building on Monday night learned what it feels like to be us every single Sunday at 1:00, metaphorically. We've lost Aaron Rodgers on the first series. We've had to overcome a 10-point deficit with Zach Wilson behind center. That's the average emotional roller coaster a gambler feels on a week-to-week basis. So if you're a casual Jets fan watching this, how you felt Monday night, we'll all be there Sunday and the following Sunday and because that's what we do to ourselves. We're sick people here. But if you're too sick, always remember, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Somebody will be there to help you out with those problems. I'm not laughing at your problem. I'm laughing at the idiotic nature in which I just stumbled into telling you about 1-800-GAMBLER. But speaking of that Monday night game, did you see now what we're subjected to with this Zach Wilson primetime schedule? I saw that. It's a great thing about following all these guys on Twitter. Everyone here, they always got good stuff. And the Jets primetime schedule, I don't know if we have that available, but they pulled this thing up. And now you got to insert that meme of Joe Pesci from Casino being forced to like watch his brother die. That's going to be us. That's how many Jets primetime games there are. Look at that. Look at all those games. Buffalo at the Jets, KC at the Jets. And what's so the Buffalo one just happened, but those would have been such great games. KC, the Chargers. You saw how Miami played. I mean, the Raiders won. At least we didn't lose too much there, but now we're going to be subjected to all these defensive bets. You have to hope the defense is going to completely shut them down, which we know most people, they don't enjoy games like that. I mean, I do because I'm miserable, and I just know that since like the Gen Z house of highlight betters had a bad night, I just miserably smile. But most people aren't going to want to see that, so we're going to have to enjoy the limited amount of primetime solid matchups that we have because of that. And how about Josh Allen in that game too? I have a friend who, in fantasy football, sports betting, whatever, he will refuse to draft a player if they start dating any sort of celebrity or influencer. It's like the new Madden curse. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, it's true. It's the influencer curse. Now, to some extent, we're all cursed by these people, like on our timelines, being constantly reminded of the caliber of women we'll probably never get to be with. But Olivia Culpo, what did she do? She swallowed up McCaffrey's production for a few years. No pun intended. And now rumor has it that Kelsey is dating Taylor Swift. And oh, what do you know? For the first time in 15 years, Kelsey misses a game. Josh Allen, Haley Steinfeld, 4 turnovers. So going forward, I just want to give some advice. It's my first betting advice of the day. Whether you're betting, drafting, whatever, make sure you look up these people's girlfriend first, because thou shalt not date an influencer. How's that for some more biblical perspective? But who am I kidding? None of you people are dating an influencer. And without further ado, if we have our guest available, if not, I'm just going to keep ranting and raving. But did you watch the game last night? Mike, did you watch the Vikings play your Eagles? I assume that.
Yeah, I did. I was down the shore for a rehearsal for a wedding, and we filled out a bar with about 25, 30 fellas from Philly, and it was quite a time.
Now, going into last week, I told you I thought the Eagles were going to be one of those rats, and the way they played like rats. They just didn't get they were able to weasel a cover, but they did not look great. And in my opinion, I know the scores happened last night, and at the end of the day, you look, a couple rushing touchdowns from Jalen Hurts, a long touchdown there. They're not looking as much of a cohesive juggernaut as they did last year. There are positives. The offensive line still looks nasty. I mean, Swift was running left and right, but Hurts,
he had 122 yards last night before contact, which is, if you want to talk about a testament to an O-line, that was my favorite stat of the night. 122 yards, 175 total, 122 before someone touched him.
And that's why, from a fantasy perspective, or whatever you want to say, yardage pop perspective, it was very interesting to see how Miles Sanders does this year, because he was running behind that offensive line last year. And Swift, who, typically when he has the ball looks a little bit more explosive. Who knows what could happen? Who knows if they're going to screw you and go back to a full-on rotation once they come back, because Swift does have somewhat of an injury history. But the Jalen Hurts thing is interesting. This is just more of a sniff, but it seems to me he got injured at the end of the year. Do you remember that? I mean, obviously you remember that, but they had to bring him back in for that last game to wrap up the 1 seed, even though he wasn't ready. Didn't look so great in the first 2 playoff games, but then had a massive Super Bowl. It just seems a little bit to me he doesn't want to take a shot that could potentially get him hurt. The designed runs, I know they were schemed for them and prepared, but just looks just a little bit more cautious to take a big hit or something like that to prevent further injuries. And I don't know. We're going to see how this goes long term. It's only week 2. And the positive news about that is you go 2-0 playing lackluster football. That's usually a good sign when you can win games like that.
Also, keep in mind, they have both a new offense coordinator and a defensive coordinator. So I think some of this, and the lack of cohesion is kind of just everybody getting on the same page. Nobody played during camp. They really haven't played meaningful football since the Super Bowl, which I know is everybody. But when you change coordinators on both sides of the ball, sometimes that can be a bit tough sledding early on.
That's definitely true. That's a great point. As far as bets last night, I feel like tight ends were at the forefront of a lot of the bet. I think Aton was big on the over for Goddard, and Lindy was on the under. I don't know. They had, and I like this when there's conflicting sides, and Goddard was under once again. And then how about AJ Brown, by the way? I think something came out in the offseason about how he wished he would have rather had a worse game in the Super Bowl and come out with the Super Bowl win. Cut to last night. He apparently is on the sideline yelling at Hurts because, or, some sort of small confrontation because he wasn't getting enough looks. Well, they were winning and he won. So I don't know. Seems like maybe he's going back on that. The wide receivers, they can't stop themselves. Either, they're a star. Look at Diggs. He did all that complaining. Yeah, he gets his 10 catches, but then who are all those Josh Allen picks going to? Force feeding Stephon Diggs. And looking at this weekend, interestingly enough, I typically I want to have my rat bets for you, the ones to stay away from. And really, this is one of the few times when looking at all those lines, they jump off if you have a younger relative, whoever you are out there, if you have anybody around the age of 21, call them and say, hey, these are the bets. Do you like anything? They're going to tell you a couple things and then say, oh, thank you so much. And make sure you either bet the other side or stay the hell away from those people. That's one of the tricks to know who the potential rats are for the weekend. But I was looking up and down the schedule. This wasn't like last week. It was a little harder for me to discern which ones. I found like one or two. We'll get to those in a little bit. But first, I'm going to bring on Lindy from Lindy's. All I hear now, I refuse to watch baseball. I don't care how entertaining it is. I mean, it hasn't been entertaining in decades since roids were a part of it. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but let's be honest, it's the truth. But apparently, he's made people tons of money, and I'm not just making that up. People would comment on my hockey videos, "You're a piece of shit. Use Lindy's locks for baseball." I'm like, all right, cool, fine. But I still didn't watch. So, Lindy, welcome to the show. This is always, it's a first for me. I'm meeting everybody for the first time. I've been locked up like a zoo animal for 2 years, and I'm happy to finally get to know you. Here's what I know about you. You have a very unhateable face.
Oh man, what a start! What a start!
The girl I'm chilling with, I was like, yeah, I do videos for the eyes. She goes Odd Chopper. She clicks on Odd Chopper. She clicked the first video. She goes, oh, who is this? She told me you start your videos with a smile, and it's such a great thing because I have been told this. This is not a lie. I swear to you, I have been told by multiple sources I have when you meet me, hateable face. I have a hateable face. I was told that in work by my 8th grade English teacher. So you're kind of the opposite of that. You have a very likable face, and I guess that's a good thing to have. I'm always fighting against the grain. I'm like an undrafted running back, like Arian Foster, who nobody. It doesn't matter if I produce, but he was undrafted. I don't want to trust that guy. That's normally me. But it's nice to meet you finally.
Nice to meet you too. What an intro. I was going to say, nice to have a not punchable, likable face. Those are okay things to have, but also 8th grade. Are you okay? 8th grade. That's pretty early on to be getting shade from adults in terms of like your facial expressions. I feel like that's not really the go-to, I think, in the education system these days.
I will say this, that particular teacher, his wasn't so much about the face. He just basically told me he didn't like me because, I come in, the mouth is moving. Now, I was a good student, but the initial thought of somebody's coming in running his mouth, oh, this is just a full slacker.
Let me teach you a little something, teacher. A little bit of that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Well, at the end, I'll give him credit, though. Usually somebody will just keep that to themselves. At the end of the year, he just personally pulled me to the side and apologized for prejudging me. So I don't want to say his name. Lord, if he's still teaching, who knows the way things work. So this clip gets sent there. He's getting fired. So I appreciate it. But I learned last night that you're a Vikings fan.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful thing to be. Pretty awful. I've got Laffy down there. I've got Mike producing. I'm just surrounded by Eagles fans. My best friend in LA, Eagles fan. My best other friend, bartender guy that's running the whole gamut, putting an entire grouping together yesterday, Eagles fan. I'm surrounded by 20 Eagles fans in my old school Randy Moss jersey, just in pain. And what's more tilting than anything is that they were so relaxed the entire game. They were just like, yeah, it's fine. Oh, yeah, let's have drinks. Let's socialize. And I'm like, fuck you. I can't do anything. I can't function. I need more drinks. I need more pain. Like, all I felt was awful the entire time. No, and they were just so confident that they were going to win, that they were just chilling, socializing. It must be really nice to be an Eagles fan. It is surely shitty to be a Vikings fan.
Well, it makes it that much more impressive that you start your videos in such positive fashion with a smile, because you've had to endure
because I'm
decades.
dead inside. Yay!
You're like from the movie. Oh my God, what's the
I'm like Brick
movie?
from Anchorman a little bit, where it's like I don't even know.
Jordan Peele. How am I forgetting this movie?
There you go. Get Out.
Yes, you're like Get Out. You're just there's somebody in there, but it ain't. You're smiling, but
Hello,
the tears
Andy.
slowly coming by. Yeah.
I love being on your show today.
Actually, that's like that movie Smile. If you saw that last year, when they're dead and just like, hi. I feel you, man. How about the bets go your way? I think you were right about that Dallas Goddard thing, right?
Yeah, Goddard and Addison, those were okay. And then, I didn't really have anything else. For me, for primetime games, when it's just one game, it's so hard. If I had done anything, I was contemplating, Philadelphia there at 7 and 6. Obviously happy that I didn't pull the trigger on either of those. But I'm more prop centric when it comes to some of those primetime games. Think you can get a little bit early to some lines, and had a couple of things move in my favor by a yard here or 5 cents there. And overall, that's kind of been my strategy for them, because they're just so publicly bet and so efficient when it comes to those island games. But hey, you get early to the week on a Monday, you can get some closing line value there on the old Sunday ticket, which there are a bunch of bets getting fired up for that.
I need you to explain to me, because I saw this and I need to know if there's any level of truth to this. Did you reference frequenting the Soho House on your timeline before?
One time last night, might have been there till the wee hours, just to feel better, to feel something. In fact,
are we talking about the same Soho House? Like the exclusive have to be taken in by a member?
Yes, it's a good time. It's nice to have friends. I don't have many, but the ones that I do have, they're there for a reason. And we got to go do some fun stuff, go kick it. You're feeling a little sad on a Thursday night. Hey, what are you up to? Oh, we're at Soho House. Can I come? Sounds great. See you there. They come down to the lobby. They let you in. You go upstairs. You're frolicking. There's some okay looking ladies, but of course, happily married, just simply observing, just simply an observant. But overall, it's a spot that from time to time. Now, you think that's great. Chateau Marmont is on another planet. There are some weekends there that don't even make sense.
Listen to me. The reason I bring this up is because I just thought it was strange to see something in that realm coming from the Soho House. The Chateau Marmont you speak of, there was a movie called Rum Diaries with Johnny Depp, and the premiere after party was at Chateau Marmont. Mm-hmm. Me and two of my friends who were visiting, because I lived in Hollywood, we just faked like we were staying at the hotel. Yes, the fake like we were staying at the hotel, went into the hotel elevator, went up 2 floors, walked over to the stairs, and then walked back down out into and there we were, Chateau Marmont, everything paid. Rum Diaries after party. I'm sitting there with that San Francisco Giants closer with the beard. Was it Brian Wilson?
Yep.
Was that right? And
that's a crazy individual. That's a crazy man.
With Giovanni Ribisi. And yeah, I got my stories too. I just was wondering. I was like, this guy rolls like that? This is major humble bragging from. I want to let you know, you're not allowed to just go to Soho House. You have to go with a member. And considering these writers are still on strike, I imagine some writers still have some time to kill, so they probably brought you in there.
They're up there frolicking on the daily. Yeah, they're having some fun, but it's one of those things where you've been out here, 12, 13 years now. You get to know a couple of people here and there on the old timeline, and some have really cool connections. And
you in LA? You're in LA?
Stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
go back and forth between Scottsdale and LA on the freeway.
That explains the smile dead face. This guy's in LA. They're the master of the smile at you, but on the inside are thinking a whole ton of things that you would never want to know.
I'm a broken person. Everything is great.
I used to always love the saying that on the East Coast, when someone says fuck you, they're saying have a nice day. And on the West Coast, when someone says have a nice day, they're saying fuck you.
It's fair. It's pretty accurate.
There's a certain element of truth to that. So I have not a bet, but there's something that unfortunately I saw, I liked, and then I'm like, please don't make this be one of the one that everyone's going to be on. So either talk me off or kind of give me the thumbs up for a bounce back Chargers performance against Tennessee. I'm like, just looking, I'm like, yep, can't take them because of what I'm seeing. I try not to look at the trends too much, but anytime you're topping 69%, I'm usually pretty terrified of taking that side, even though the gut says Chargers will bounce back, even if there's no Eckler. Should I stay away from that?
That's where I kind of want to start with it. Like, do running backs matter? I think that there's a limited amount of them that do. DeAndre Swift is probably one of those guys based on what I saw him trucking people over yesterday, but one of them that just matters is Austin Eckler because of the multi-dimensional aspect that he brings to an offense, pass catching, truly can get into spots that other 5'3" individuals can't. The guy is just an absolutely ripped little guy that just gets into space and just creates mismatches and does everything that you want out of a running back. If he's going to be out, Joshua Kelly is not that guy. And it's just going to go on to just Justin Herbert is he given the leash that we were kind of expecting in the Kellen Moore offense? And it was a little bit frustrating to go back and watch some of that Miami tape because overall, Justin Herbert was in control. It just simply didn't get the opportunity. It didn't look like his progressions were ever going down the field to anybody. It was just quick outs to Keenan Allen. It was just boring offense in a lot of ways, and they were getting stuff done on the ground, so I get it, but it is a tough spot for this Chargers defense, even just DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry should be getting more involved here at home. I expect him to be playing a little bit more, talking through that with Lofty yesterday. And it's just a spot that not a great feeling for the Chargers. It feels eerily similar to my Vikings where 0-2 just kind of like feels on the horizon.
Okay. Well, the fallback one, this is one that whether they cover, don't cover, I got to think, especially if there's no Eckler, a bounce back spot is in order for Mike Williams, who missed some of that game because he was getting checked for a concussion. And I know you were saying the reads were always taking him for the short passes, but if he's not having Eckler to send some of those quick outs to and whatnot, I mean, I imagine they're going to set it in the 50s. I haven't checked, but they usually don't put his so high. And the kind of player he is, that usually takes 2 catches when he is catching passes. Do you think the Mike Williams over on reception yards will be a little more likely to hit because that run defense of Tennessee looked pretty damn good last week?
Yeah, and that's going to be what they always do. You do have a pass funnel. I think Mike Williams fits into the mold of somebody who at least should be getting a larger ADOT. Again, only a 10 ADOT for Mike Williams in that first outing, 45 yards, 50 air yards in combination with it. A 16.1% target share, but 16.1% when you miss the field for basically a quarter is not so bad. You could adjust that to north of 22%. They don't want to have Quinn Johnson apparently out there as much, even though they have draft capital in him. So Mike Williams definitely can be that vertical guy, but you got to run some of the plays to be able to do some of that stuff. So that falls on Kellen Moore. Justin Herbert's kind of doing Justin Herbert things where you kind of expect him to continue to progress and elevate as a player, but he feels constrained to the offense. Hopefully they open it up a little bit more here against just going to be one of the worst secondaries in the NFL for Tennessee.
Get the shackles off. Okay, so how about you? If you can send me off into the night with a winning bet. They did pretty good last week. They went 2 for 3. I call that a meatloaf because 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And
good.
So if you can pull something from the Odd Shopper Premium Bunkers, or if there's just a personal call that you like, you got some inside info from your Soho House friends, because oh yeah, I went to an after party with Keenan Allen's wife last night, and he's got a rickety knee once again, so I'll take the you have any inside info?
Yeah, I got a pretty gross one, but if we're just talking spreads, because if you're looking at the Chargers, I'm looking at Houston going up against the Colts at home. I'm not a CJ Stroud fan by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, but this Colts team is really bad on the defensive side of the football. You go across and outside of cornerback, what's his face, Steven Nelson there for the Titans. Sorry, for the Texans there on that side of it. He's going to be an absolute stud for them on that side of the ball. But looking at the Colts defense, I'm just not impressed by anything outside of that linebacker core, which is notoriously good. Their cornerback situation is going to be a disaster. And Houston, I think, is going to be able to do what they want to through the air. I think ground game kind of saw Dameon Pierce is going to just be there, going to be a body. You got him and Singletary splitting duties. And I think it's going to be just a spot where Houston, they do enough defensively here to contain some of the wheels of Richardson, some of the one pass catcher in Michael Pittman that they have available there. Just land the one there feels pretty safe for me going into the weekend.
Yeah, home opener. I like that. That's cool. All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Of course,
so you officially talked me off the Chargers. I mean, I was 50-50 because I just, the 21-year-olds, they're all about it. They're on their college campuses. They're planning a date with this girl that's never even going to say yes to them for next Tuesday because they're expecting the Chargers to pay them out on Sunday. So I appreciate you talking me off the ledge, and maybe some other people who are watching the show as well. I'll be taking Houston. I like that. A week two home opener is always like a subtle, sneaky little advantage there. I like that. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Of
course.
Hopefully you do it again if you have the time with your hot sauce. I imagine there's a story with that hot sauce or something.
Well, I was going to say, A-Town and I we're going to be recording a video if you guys want to check that out over on X. Myself, A-Town Shander, just talking through kind of our mild play. That's going to be Houston for me. We've got ourselves a little bit spicier, a little medium action, and then the hot sauce, the hot fire.
Let them watch it. Yeah, let them watch it.
We'll let them watch it.
Sorry, we know what drug users need. Just like at Caesar's promotion, they give you 50. You get one here, one there, one there. Yeah, we're going to keep you around for life, but at least we're going to try to entertain you while we're doing it. So thank you so much. Do you want me to call you Eric? Do you want me to call you Lindy?
Eric is great. Eric is great.
Okay, yeah, I have a weird thing about nicknames. You need to be on the inside to use somebody's nickname. So
you're just fine.
Right, I'll call you Eric. All right.
Sounds good, Andy. We'll see you later, my guy.
Thanks, man. All right, we're going to go straight from one to the other, just like this Monday night doubleheader we got going on. And I think I might want to talk about one of those games. We're going from Eric to Dave. We'll see if I get nickname permissions and if I weasel my way into that. But we're going to bring on Dave, one of the guys that, when I started here, is Dave, is he on here yet? Dave, what's going on, man? I want to let you know that when I first started here, or like when I just kind of met with one of you guys and they're like, listen, this is what we want to do. We want you to model your video. Like, this is the example. They sent me one of your videos and now I finally get to meet you. This is like me in Scientology. I'm OT8. I'm clear. I get to meet L. Ron Hubbard. They told me that you want your videos, Andy, we want it to kind of be like this. And I said, I can't do that. I just can't. And they're like, why? And I said, because I have nice hair in the betting and NFL fantasy community. We get together once a year, we have drinks together. We don't disrespect the good heads of hair that we were given. And it's not as bad as a bald guy or somebody who isn't bald shaving his head. Like, that's just flat out blasphemy. But to hide that great head of hair, in my world, don't get angry if your hair turns on you down the road for what you've done to it. So I just want to let you know that you've disrespected all the nice-haired people out there.
You know what? And you got a nice head of hair yourself, man. Glad to be on it. And please forgive me. I may have imbibed a little heavily last night. So understand the subdued nature today. But you know what it is? Any barber I go to, you go to a barber and you book out 30 minutes. They have to book out an hour for me every time. One, because we all talk. We shoot the shit. It's barbershop talk. But because my hair is so difficult to cut, it goes up. So once in a while, I can get it looking fine. Every day, there's zero chance I'm going through all that just to get my hair looking okay for a video. Plus, who cares in the end? You're not watching a video for my hair.
I know.
You might have been.
If I start with the hair and then I work my way into
you
the words.
Immediately just discounted me. Nah, I can't do it. Yeah, I got you.
I don't know how many girls are watching this video, but they are going nuts. What do you mean? Now you know what we go through. So, I'm pretty sure the audience skews male, and that's going to be to your benefit because
they were like 99.5% last time I looked at the demo. Yeah. Oh,
Who knows? We're going to turn things around. We're going to
let's
turn
do
things
it.
around. So you're another Philly guy, right?
Yeah, outside of Philly, suburbs of Philly. But yeah, yesterday was a good night. Real good
I've
night.
always believed the suburbs are actually where you get the real people. You go into Manhattan, you'll never meet somebody from
No.
New York. You got to go into the Queens to get the people working on bread trucks like my uncle. So I imagine, you're a Philly guy, just like Eitan's a Philly guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, Eitan and I get along great. Plus, you know how many people are just migrating from Philly to the suburbs anyway, right? So one that single home, they're looking for that different life. So they'll commute into Philly, but a lot of them are living outside of the city, and that's what you get around here too.
I got to commend you. The wife gave you the basement. She didn't send you out to the garage. So she gave you the basement to
Oh,
make
yeah.
you did.
It turned
at
out
least
all
you're
right, though,
still
honestly.
in the house.
I got way more. I'll tell you what, I like it down here. I might stay down here for good, to be honest. It's not that bad. Listen, I got a refrigerator with beer in it stacked to the top. You can't complain being down here. At first I was against it. Once I got down, I like being down here. I like solitude. You know what I mean?
Basements are fantastic. One of the most
Yeah.
depressing things, and Eric will tell you this, one of the most depressing things about California, no basements.
It's
There's
bad.
no basements, and it makes sense. You don't want, one of the earthquakes cracking you into the middle of the world, but I like that feeling of going down into a basement. I don't know, maybe it's a guy thing, but I don't know.
But it's an even worse. It's even more of a disgrace is people who live around here and never get around to finishing their basement, and they neglect it. They don't use it. They don't take advantage of the space. You go into a beautiful house with an unfinished basement, it's a travesty.
Oh, you mean like one of those Mankind boiler rooms where they just didn't do anything? They left it gray with poles and the Freddy Krueger glove with like
straight Home Alone style. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, stepping on a nail like Marv. Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the common threads between Philly and New York, as I was just telling Mike, let's be honest, we're the biggest scumbag fan bases there are out there. I mean,
yeah, but you kind of have to embrace it, right? Because there is something kind of lovely about having everyone think that about you because you're on the outside. But if you're on the inside, sure, it may be slightly tribal. Sure, people may do things for a sports team that's uncalled for. But if you're in on that, like if you're part of that group, you're part of the boys, there's no better feeling when Sunday rolls around or a Thursday night. So, I mean, from the outside looking in, you hate us.
Straight out of The Sopranos. Listen, when you're on the inside, I mean, life is good. You get walked right into places. You don't have to wait anywhere. No, I'm not insulting. I think it's great. It's true home field advantage. You have wives of players saying they're not going to the games. Bosa's losing it before the playoff game. This is a true advantage. We own 2 Santa Claus. Remember, you Google Santa Claus fiascos. You guys threw beer at Santa Claus. I don't know if you know this, but I was part of an MSG special because I was part of the Santa Melee on Ice fiasco. I was the orchestrator. So I know what being a Carney fan is all about. So I'm not judging whatsoever. I'm saying I think that's a commonality between
big
us.
Time. It's a Northeast thing, not everywhere, right? Not everywhere, but Boston has their reputations as well. But I think as far as the Northeast goes, you're going to see a whole lot more of that than you go out to, Houston, Jacksonville. They get 47 people to show up on a good week. The Chargers, Philly play. If the Eagles play on the West Coast against the Chargers, it's majority Philly. Maybe it isn't now, but last time they played there was. And you guys 100%. Travel well too. So yeah, you take honor in that.
Definitely. You got any bets that I can take some honor in? Actually, before I'll do the same thing, I'll run one by you. Now, there is no homerism. I don't like. If the Jets win, great. If the Giants win, all right. But I grew up as just my life was entrenched with hockey and a little bit of baseball. I didn't become a big football fan until I was in college. And I have a rule: if you're a kid and you weren't a fan of something, don't be one of those adult fans who just starts liking the Nets, because you'll never have the childhood allegiance. It's like showing somebody A Christmas Story for the first time when he's 28 years old. He's going to say, what the hell is this garbage? You need to watch it when you're a kid, and then it sticks with you, and it's just different. So I don't have a dog in this fight. But
what's worse though, Andy, doing that and deciding to take on fandom as you grow older, or somebody that, let's say lives in my area, and then their Twitter bio says Flyers, Cowboys, Lakers, and Mets.
The lack of self-awareness to realize, to just know, I'm going to be a piece of shit.
It's so true.
If I was not me and I saw that on someone's, I'm a piece of shit. Just like the Shark Tank people I was talking about before. How can somebody go and say, hi, I'm Lindy and I'm Luffy and we're the Odd Shopper? How did you think that was going to be a good idea before that? Same type of thing. Yep. Same type of thing here with that kind of bio. But the Jets, Cowboys, and Miami. Who's Miami hosting this? New England. That's the one that I really want to focus on. New England going to Miami. Classic. Everybody saw Miami play extremely well against the Chargers. Road win. A lot of excitement around them. Now they got this home opener against the Patriots, who are 0-1, who actually sneakily played pretty well. This is one I see everyone going on Miami. What do you think that one is? Potential trap? Are you with the public on that one? I just try to identify the ones that, you know what, I'll pick my battles elsewhere. But then again, that is a primetime game. It's going to be drawing a ton of bets regardless. Yeah,
a couple of things here. First of all, everyone talks about how good Miami was, and look, I've said it a bunch all week. I've said it for a long time. As a matter of fact, by the way, it's in Foxborough, not in Miami. But
really,
yeah, it's in New England on Sunday night.
Sorry about that. There's only so many things I can remember.
The reason is because Miami early in the season actually has a distinct home field advantage, because the way that stadium is designed, when it's those early games, they have the sun beating the shit out of the opponent while they're in the shade the whole time. I forget who it was that they played last year. The Bills. Remember that Bills game where Josh Allen and them ran like 100 offensive plays and they were all dropped. They were all dying on the field of dehydration.
I do.
Yeah, and then Miami's on the other side in the shade, no problems whatsoever. But yeah, Miami played great. I think Tyreek Hill's the best receiver. I think he's the most uncoverable receiver in the NFL, if you want to put it that way. And as long as Tua is healthy, I'm not necessarily sure how you're going to slow that team down. Plus, even if you do everything you can to take Tua out of the game, you have Jalen Waddle on the other side, who was like almost 1,400 yard receiver last year, with Skylar Thompson and Teddy Bridgewater getting snaps as well. This to me is a really good football team. The run game, I don't know. We'll see. But how are we going to discount what the Patriots did last week? I don't think the Patriots played poorly at all. I think Bill O'Brien at offense at the OC, it makes a big difference. They peppered the middle of the field against Philly, really took advantage of that, stayed away from the boundaries with Bradbury and Slay. They played, in my opinion, they played well. I thought the defense looked great. Jalen Hurts got nothing going all game long. It was the defense that created opportunistic turnovers, got the pick six by Darius Slay, and then they just held on to it because New England has no pass catchers to speak of. But you're looking at this as 3 points. You're not getting the hook on either side. Like if this is 3.5, I wouldn't mind taking the 3 with New England here. Tua is 4-0 all for his career against the Patriots. I think they probably have too much firepower for me to back the Pats here. But it's not a game where I look at it and I go, man, yeah, Miami should come in and rout them in Foxborough. I don't see that either.
Historically, Belichick has done a pretty good job compared to most against Tyreek Hill. So you'll imagine that Hill ain't going to be having one of these 200-yard games or something like that. It just seems like he'll do anything and everything to not let weapon. I know that's kind of a chalky thing to say. Oh, they take away option A. But just Tyreek Hill specifically, I've seen Belichick do a pretty good job on him and a few different times, even when he was with Mahomes. I kind of like Waddle to hit his over, especially, after kind of that down week. I think he's been practicing in full all week. He's set up to have some decent matchups. What do you think about his over as a potential bet?
Yeah, if you didn't mention it, I was going to say the same thing, especially if that's the mindset, if that's the approach that you're taking. Sure. If you're not, if you're under the assumption that, hey, Tyreek Hill can destroy anybody in any matchup, no matter how they scheme him, then, that might not be the spot. But yeah, last year against the Patriots, Tyreek Hill, in his first year with Miami, 8 for 94 on 12 targets. For most guys, that's a pretty great game, but it's not anything spectacular for him. And then again, in week 17, 7 targets, 4 for 55. Can't remember if Tua played in that game, but still, Waddle's what's his receiving prop at? Do we have one on him? 63.5. Yeah, I like that quite a bit. Minus 115 on DraftKings for the over. Jalen, yeah. Plus, who else? I mean, think about it. Who else are they really going to be throwing to with any volume? Durham Smythe might get a couple. Braxton Berrios.
No love for Braxton Berrios.
He's fine, man. He's fine. But when you've got
he's got an Instagram model girlfriend, you never take overs. I taught them that before. Kelsey, Dayton, Swift. He's missing games now. McCaffrey was taken out for 2 years. You got an Instagram model girlfriend, don't take any overs. That's the new rule that I've set tonight. But I agree with you.
Now I'm looking up I want to see what she looks like.
I hope I'm not wrong on this one. I'm pretty sure. Wait a minute, that's the girl that I think cheated on him over this. I take everything back. I think an influencer cheated on Braxton Berrios in the Hamptons, and now he's a motivated man looking for his next one. We're all overs on Braxton Berrios.
Oh, yeah. All right. Man, that's a shame, though, I'll tell you.
Am I right? Did I make that up?
Yeah, well, it says here that they split in January. He explained he was in a good and healthy relationship for 2 years, but they just weren't working out. So looking at her, my guess is that not working out meant things weren't working out on her end.
You got to love that. You get cheated on during the summer, and then you just go, no, we broke up in January just to try to save face. Come on, we've all done it.
Yeah. But you know what, look, is Berrios a fine wide receiver 3 on that team? Yeah. All I'm saying is there's no one in their right mind that looks at this football team and is like, oh, well, if it's not Hill, might not be Waddle either. Like you have to assume that he is the bona fide number 2 option behind Hill in this offense. And why would he not be?
Yeah, I really like Waddle. And from your bag of tricks, you have anything across the board, even if it's one of the primetime games, but all these week 2 matchups that are still on the table, anything that you particularly like that I can pawn off as my own to my local group of friends?
I like the Falcons this week, actually. I think this team's probably in some sense getting slept on because, you saw it last week, Andy. They're trying to keep the ball out of Desmond Ritter's hands, and they did quite a job. 18 passes. Drake London was a ghost. He didn't exist in that game, but you go and you draft Bijan Robinson top 10. Tyler Algier is no scrub either. This guy was a 1,000-yard rusher last year on a bad team that had no identity whatsoever. They're going to run the football as much as they can, right? Only the Bears ran the ball more than they did last year. I'm not saying it's sustainable that you throw 12 times per game if you're Desmond Ridder, but they don't want to throw a lot. And I actually took the money line at plus 106 when they were slight dogs. Money line's at minus 120 now. Because I'm saying this now, I could be wrong when this is released. Maybe we get news. I don't think Aaron Jones or Christian Watson play. Like, I think both of them are 70-30 to not play this week. And I said from Sunday when Aaron Jones came out and talked about his hammy that I think he was probably downplaying that injury. Could be wrong. I'm clearly not a doctor.
We broke up back in January. He was doing the hamstring version of that. No, we broke up months ago. Exactly. Yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah. And then exactly Sunday comes around because it just wasn't working out.
No, I'm with you on that. When you think about that game, Green Bay versus Chicago, it's easy at the end to oh, wow, you see Green Bay. I mean, halfway through that game, it was like 7-6 or something like that. Green Bay did not look good, and Chicago's awful on defense. They weren't really moving the ball out. Yeah. A couple dynamic plays from Jones. He's not going to be there. And then what do you think of Watson? Now, I'm just asking that rhetorically. Do you trust Watson now on the road to go do that? I'm kind of with you on that one. I agree. I mean, would I be shocked if Green Bay's D plays well again? No, but I'm kind of with you. At home, Love has only started a few games. I think it's a good spot to take Atlanta. It's probably a reason why the line's moving that way.
Yeah, and I think some of it's probably that if you got on early, people thought, my guess is that has a lot to do too with Jones and the market baking that in now that Jones and Watson don't play. But consider this, Green Bay's defense didn't look bad last week, but Chicago had to abandon the run relatively early in that game, and that's not what they want to do at all. And sure, they ran late in garbage time, but I'm talking about when the game actually mattered. And this is a better offensive line for Atlanta than Chicago by far. They have a better backfield, Robinson and Tyler Algier. And last year, the Green Bay Packers were bad against the run. I'm not convinced after one game where they took a lead and were playing from ahead. I'm not convinced that this run defense is just automatically stout now. And if that's the case, I could see Atlanta really chewing up the clock at home, no less, in their home opener with, a ton of excitement around Bijan Robinson. Defense, they added Jesse Bates. He was immediately impactful. They even got some pressure last week. Yeah, I'll take that. I would have loved to give you guys the plus money on the money line, but I still think even like -1.5 on the spread works for me too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good pick. And just quickly, out of curiosity, you think the Jets that spread is, what did it go from? Started with plus 3.5 with Rodgers to now it's like what, +9? You think
is that what it was? Was the look ahead line? Was the look ahead line around 3? Really? Wow.
I believe so.
Yeah.
But I even think with Wilson it was +7.5 or something, and now it must have been like bet to 9. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't like messing with defenses. No, I told you I grew up I refused to have an allegiance because when I was a kid, I was so entrenched in hockey. Right. I didn't watch a ton of football till I was a teenager, and by that point, too late. I remember I was watching the Houston Texans come into it. I'm like, who are these fake fans out there claiming that they love this team that they just pulled out of the dirt? And then to the same extent, I'm like, okay, if that's the case, I can't like the Jets.
That's admirable, though. I have a lot of respect for that. I feel like you're missing out, truly, but
you know impossible.
What? Are you a Rangers fan or are you an Islanders fan?
Islanders, big time.
Okay. So you got a great fan base around them too then. So you got something. You have some allegiance, right?
Oh, imagine you took all your Eagles, your love for the Eagles. Who's another team that you like? Are you a Philly across the board?
4 for 4.
Imagine taking all those and dumping them into one basket. The Islanders can make me do things that I should not be doing at this age of my life. Like they really can bring it out of me. And they went to back-to-back conference championships. I mean, now it's been 4 seasons, but 2 of the last 4 seasons, and it took years off my life. I'd rather lose for 10 years straight, miss the playoffs, because I can handle that. It's like, oh yeah, we're just bad. But coming that close, it's scary. So yeah, I'm a diehard Islanders fan, and I find myself in the coin flip situations cheering for the Jets over the Giants. But I went to school in Boston, and those rat bastards, it just became anything but them. Anything but the Patriots. So
you can't. They can't be. Nah, that's not. It's funny. I play hockey. I played hockey my whole life, and I love watching playoff hockey. But oddly enough, it's the one sport that I don't follow. Might be because the Flyers have been so bad for quite a while now that it's tough for me to get invested when it's basketball season, when it's football season.
That's what I say on this channel with my videos. I go, look. There's some basketball people trying to come here and cut. When you're young, there's a fork in the road.
Yep.
When winter comes, you pick one or you pick the other. It was decided at a young age. I went the hockey route. Most people in the US go the basketball route. So I'll never hate on. I know I work with a couple people from Philly. Yeah, they always keep peripherals on the Flyers, but they're always more interested in
but it's weird because I love the sport. I love it. It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. But maybe the Flyers in 5 years will get me back into it. They got a long road to climb, though. But hey, you were asking about the Jets. Well, let me ask you this. Give me top of your head, snap decision, final score for this game.
17-13 Cowboys.
Okay, so you like this to stay competitive.
Well, just because I have this theory, and you want to put on them other conspiracy theory thing. I have a theory. I learned this when Peyton Manning took over for the Broncos. So the previous year, I think, or the first year of Tebow, it was Kyle Orton and then Tim Tebow. You remember that?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm watching them go like 0-3 or something with Orton. The defense is giving up 35 points a game or something like that. They're just getting, and they're trying to like kind of go run and gun with these teams. Tim Tebow comes in. They can't score a lick. And then you have to earn but they're keeping every single team under 13. I believe there's a mental shift that takes place when you have a quarterback that doesn't score points, where the defense plays like we cannot, and they play to the absolute max, knowing a touchdown's going to lose this game for us. And they keep every team to a low score, regardless of who they're playing. Josh Allen and the Bills are a perfect example. They scored early and then never really again because they knew 3 more points, this game's over. Yep. And I think it's going to be a similar desperate type of mentality where they know if they go down early, that's going to be the end of it. I think Wilson's trash like everybody else does, but the Jets D, that's just such a high to ride off into the next game with. I guess we will see, though. We will see. Dak is prone to some led the league in interceptions. Yeah. He's prone to weird stuff. And Tony Pollard's a small running back.
You know, Deuce Vaughn's even smaller, man. Those videos of that guy were hilarious. But yeah, look, I see it a couple of ways. One, do they maintain that mentality into week 2? It's definitely possible, because in week 1, they knew when Rodgers went down, if that defense didn't get it done, it was a wrap. But I could see it going a couple of ways. And I actually have a play here, but it's not on the spread. For me, and based on your score prediction, you would agree, I actually like the under. Because what I could see happening, and I think it's like, 38 points or something last I looked, 38.5. I look at this, and this could end up being a 24-7 game because Zach Wilson makes mistakes and gives Dallas the ball near the goal line. If they were wise and the defense is holding up, you just feed it to Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall and hope that they can produce like 4 or 5 yards a chunk like the Eagles were doing yesterday before breaking off those big ones and wearing down that defense. My biggest concern is, can you keep the ball? Can you keep Zach Wilson from making those huge mistakes? If so, I think they keep it very low scoring and close. But even if they don't keep it close, you could really envision like a 24-10 game or a 24-7 game where they don't cover, but their defense is good. It's also kind of, I think this could be kind of a war of attrition when you're looking at Dallas offense versus the Jets defense. If the Jets offense can't keep any of the ball in the field and their time of possession is like 10 minutes going into the fourth quarter, does the Jets defense eventually wear down and just kind of cede to the pressure? That's my only concern, but I still like the under here.
Yeah, there are a couple roads where Dallas can absolutely cover, and this would be contingent on just weaseling just enough first downs like he did last week. And who knows, maybe the win will give him a little confidence. He's kind of mobile. Maybe he'll get a couple first downs, but we didn't really see that Dallas offense. We didn't see a lot of them, really.
No.
And it's not like they were fluid and scoring left and right. They were put in a position where their defense lined them up for multiple scores. So it's not like, they're hitting on all cylinders or something. It's not like they're playing like Miami in the last game. They're coming in with full confidence. They're coming in on the back of a great defensive special teams performance. Likewise with the Jets. And I don't know. I just think you're going to get a clashing of two energies like that.
I love it. I hate the Cowboys, man. I
fall on the side of not like, it's such a weird thing. You know how it's like, oh yeah, the Packers, everyone has like a strong opinion either way. I kind of find myself, I'm cool with they win. And then I root, like when the Niners play the Cowboys, I'm always on the Niners, and I have no reason and no history. It's just a weird little thing in our brains. I guess it's the team that most people like. You just root to fail.
Yeah, well, as an Eagles fan too, it's a divisional rival.
That's complete. That's you have.
But it's funny. I don't hate any of the Cowboys players. Actually, I think a lot of them are highly likable players. Micah Parsons, a lot of these guys. It's just that you grow. You talk about growing up with a certain mentality instilled in you. Around here, you don't like the Cowboys, and if you do, it's always like, oh, I ask people all the time, Andy, just to kind of grind their gears. Oh, you live a mile from me and you're a Cowboys fan? That must be lonely, right? And then you're like, well, I go, you must be from the Dallas area. You must be from Texas. I get it. And they're like, no, my great uncle gave me a sweatshirt when I was 6. Like, that is the dumbest reason I've ever heard in my life. But every Cowboys fan, I love you guys. Look, I'm sure many of you are great people. They all
He's doing it. This is one of my favorite things when we have a friend and then we compliment them just to give them a bigger insult. We lift them up 1 to send them down 15. Oh, look, we all know and love the guy. He smells like absolute shit. I love that. The compliment before the insult.
You have to do that. You have to. You're doing this long enough. You got to sneak in. And look, you guys, I'm sure you're great people. Most of you, at least. However, they all have one of those wild stories about how they became a fan. And it's like, well, I got a pennant on my wall when I was 4. And since then I've had, unending, interminable love for this team. But it's lonely, Andy, being a fan. It's got to be lonely when everyone's getting together to watch a game and you're by yourself, just like, all right, let's go Cowboys. It sounds horrible.
Some people like that, man. When you hear about, like when they asked Derek Jeter, would you rather have the winning hit in Fenway or at Yankee Stadium? They like silencing crowds. Sometimes in like the WWE, they say it's way easier to play the villain than it is to be the fan.
Yeah.
Some people thrive. Some people thrive in those type of circumstances. And for what that guy said, not that I agree, because I do agree with you in that, like, some guy slaps something on your head.
Feel free to disagree. I'm all ears. You're wrong, but feel free.
I got news for you. You ain't gonna have to fight for me to disagree. But just from what I was telling you about, I'm not gonna start liking some team as an adult. That's kind of an extension of what that guy is saying. You're so impressionable as a kid. A mere hat can make you a fan for life and a diehard fan. And the opposite is true. You can give me you can deck this place out, build me a new studio with 49ers stuff. It ain't going to mean shit for me, because the further you get away from those childhood years, it's just, you are so moldable that all it takes is a single sweatshirt and now you're a fan for life, which is pretty wild.
No,
you have a young kid, right?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right how impressionable you are. It's a lonely existence, though, and I don't want to hear otherwise. It's got to be lonely, man.
What do you think? This is Gen Z now. They call going out on a Friday night everybody on TikTok doing a live stream. They're like, yeah, we went out. We were all on TikTok live together.
Everyone those are the happiest people in the world, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're topping off the charts. They're not part of this. They're not part of this epidemic of everyone that's depressed and on pills. What a perfect way to end the show, ladies and gentlemen. Week 2, Francis and Friends. We gave you a couple picks. We gave you a couple laughs. Hopefully, thank you for coming back. I'll be back again next week. We'll do it again. Hopefully, some of these picks went well, kind of like last week. We gave you some good insight. You know which ones that we kind of are feeling and kind of not. And as always, may the rats be with you. Mike, you want to finish that?
And also with you.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
Wait a minute. Oh,